Questions, questions, questions. Everybody's got eBay questions. Well, we have answers.
Rapid fire 20 today.
Hey guys, I am Prof Sales. Welcome to the Prof Sales YouTube channel.
Oh, and I'm Just Ask Kaaren.
And we're glad you're here. This channel is all about being an entrepreneur, being a reseller, your mindset, and staying positive, and so much more. But we are glad that you're here. And if you notice us chatting with people, it's because there's a live chat going on right now. The chat room that you can join us any day that we're live. We're live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And of course, you can leave us a question or a comment after the video post, and we'll do our best to answer it.
Yes, and today's kind of a special day. Not for us, but maybe for retail land. It's Black Friday.
What does that mean, Kaaren?
That I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying home today.
I asked her if she wanted to go do any special sales here in the U.S. It's the day after Thanksgiving, and she said no.
Not a big shopper. Never have been.
Yeah, and because of our business model right now, we're not sourcing a lot of things that would necessarily be Black Friday specials. So we'll probably take this day to do some other things. But if you are out selling, we're gonna try not to keep you too long today because I know you have other things to do. And it's a busy time of year for resellers, people who are in business selling on e-commerce platforms like many of you are. So we thought we would cover 20 pretty common questions today that people have about selling on eBay. And we will just give you kind of a quick answer to them. We're not going to go super in depth on these answers because we're going to try to get through 20 questions instead of just, talking about one question a lot. And we thought we might even do some of these subjects could have 20 questions within them themselves. And we may do those videos down the road if you guys are interested. If you like this video and you like this format, let us know that. If you'd like to see us do, 20 questions about some of these other subjects, that would be cool. And we'll do our best to do that.
And 20 questions are not going to encompass all of the questions. So by all means, after the fact, certainly in the chat as we go along, I don't know how good we'll be about going back and forth if we're going to do this really quick. But after the fact, in the comment section below the video, put your questions. What did we leave out? What's your top knowledge seeking answer that you're looking for? And we'll do our best to help you out.
Questions are, opinion. I would argue the majority of them are opinion. But, that's why part of the reason we have a channel here is to share with you guys what we think about things. And then you interact with us back and we hopefully can kind of learn these things together. So that being said, I think we should jump right into it.
And I'm putting on my glasses because 1, you didn't print it big enough for me to read it. And 2, I mean business. So here we go.
Question number 1. And these are not in any specific order, by the way.
Nope. Is selling on eBay worth it? We've talked about this one a lot.
That brings up the question of what does worth it mean? And I would say for a lot of people, it is worth it. If you can figure it different ways. If you're looking at, do you get joy from it? Are you progressing towards a particular revenue goal? Do you like, the idea of, just buying and selling things? Do you think it's a good use of time for the money that you get back out of it? And I would say that for the majority of those things, it is worth it for a lot of people. But again, it depends on your value of worth it. If you come in thinking, I want to make $150 an hour selling on eBay, you can do that, but you're probably not going to do that selling clothes from the bins and thrift stores.
So if you answered no to probably 2 or more of those, then it's probably not worth it. If you're spending way too much time and not making any money, if you're really unhappy doing it, if it's not helping you reach any goals, whether it's monetary or growing your business or strengthening your relationship, investment portfolio, etc., then probably not.
Yeah. So again, think about what worth it means to you. Just always remember that if you're saying yes to eBay, you're saying no to other things. And then make a determination based on the time and energy and enjoyment and revenue and things that you get out of it to make that determination. But I think it's worth it. And you know, it really just depends on your perspective on all those factors.
Number two.
Number two, I guess I'll do number two.
Sure, do it.
How much money can I make
I want to do this one.
selling on eBay?
Infinity and beyond. I can't believe you typed that. You see what I did there?
I see what you did there.
I'm Buzzette Lightyear. Wait for it.
You know, people ask that question, and I think the real question they're asking there is, will I make enough money given the time and energy I got to put into it, even though they're not phrasing it that way? Because they probably see people with certain results and they, you know, they're making, you know, $5 on this product or $8 on this product, and they see other people making $50 profit or $100 profit. And they're just wondering, is it going to be worth it for me? So they're like, well, how much can I really make? And I don't know that it's, I don't think there's a limit. I mean, obviously there's a limit. But in terms of, you know, what can your hourly rate be, which is how I like to look at things, I think it'd be really good. I don't know what it, again, it goes back to your perspective, but eBay is scalable, especially in certain niches, and your hourly rate can get quite high. It could get in the triple digits for sure if you're, depending on what you're selling. I'm sorry, were you going to say something?
No.
So how much can you make? You certainly can make a great part-time income. You can make a great full-time income. You can build a business and employ other people. I think there is probably, you know, some sort of limit, but you're never really going to know what that number is. And the limit's pretty darn high. So why even worry about it?
It is scalable and it is adjustable, right? If your return is low, then buy better things, right? And we talk about that. You know, you start at one point, you start small, and then you move up from there. If you want your return on investment to be higher, well, then you got to change a little bit. You can't start out selling the same $1 widget and do that. I know somebody's going to say, well, I did, and I sold a bazillion of them. But if you're wanting to grow and get bigger, then that $1 widget is going to have to evolve into either a bunch more $1 widgets, or it's going to have to help get you to the next step, like the $5 widget, the $10 widget, et cetera, right?
Exactly. So, and if you think about, I think we're here in the United States, and the median income, I think, is about in the 40-some thousands, maybe not quite 50,000. And if you think about making $50,000 a year after your expenses, you know, that's maybe $140,000 to $200,000 a year business. Can you do that on your own? For sure, for sure. So again, it depends on what you sell and how you scale and so on. But I think you can absolutely make a full-time income on eBay for most people, depending on your perspective on income. So I think it's a good amount.
Number three, what should I sell on eBay?
Find a niche.
You mean I can't sell all the things? Or is it a niche? Don't even start that. It's both. Let's move forward. So, I mean, I can't sell all the things, Prof? Come on.
You could, but it doesn't really make sense.
No? How come?
No. Well, the problem is that selling all the things, some things just aren't worth much. For various, I mean, the market decides what something's worth, and that's what people are buying it for, and that's how much it's for. So I think you should find a niche, and it could be in something maybe you have previous experience in. It could be something that you have widely available in your area that you've had a lot of experience dealing with, maybe either selling or buying or just being around in the past. You know, I was talking to somebody, and they have a lawn care business. I was talking to my brother, actually, and he said, you know, I said, he talked about selling on eBay, and I said, you've got a lot of experience in parts with lawnmowers, weed eaters, things like that, you know, lawn care equipment that can be sold for good money. So that would be a natural niche. Plus, it would help your other core business. So finding a niche, I think, is the best way to go for most people. I just don't think that I don't think you should try to sell everything. I don't think you should go wide when you first start out. I think that's really hard. And you end up spending an awful lot of time researching things.
So start with what you know. Start with maybe what you have free and go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can find companion niches to your main ones that sort of, you know, tie into it.
Sure.
Number 4, how much time does it take to list an item on eBay?
Why does this always get so much debate?
I don't know. I think it should take you 10 minutes or less. If it's taking you more than that, you got to justify that. Like 10 minutes is 1/6 of an hour, right? So let's say you can list something in 10 minutes that you're going to make $10 profit on eventually, and that would be 6 items an hour or $60 an hour, which is a good hourly rate, no question about it. But if it's taking you 30 minutes to list that item, now your hourly rate drops to $20 an hour, which is a lot lower than 60, and still a decent rate, but remember, it's not going to sell right away. So I think you should find things that, you can list in 10 minutes or less. And that includes the photos, it includes checking them over, includes listing them. There's ways to get faster on that we can talk about in depth, and, batching your processes together for efficiencies, being in a niche where you don't have to think about a lot of things like shipping and the listing. It'll be, you can create templates, all these things. I just think that a niche and being able to list things under 10 minutes should be a goal you should strive for.
Well, and Deb reiterates and reinforces that exact same thing. If you're selling too wide, it makes it hard to set up processes, right?
Oh,
it makes it hard to batch processes.
Shipping alone. Oh.
Yeah. Can you imagine having to have not only padded flat rates, but big old boxes and little first class and...
It gets crazy. And we've done some of that, and it's really tricky because then you're in there like, oh, I need this size perfect box. I need this amount of padding. Man, that is just a pain in the butt.
And you're not a big fan of popcorn peanuts, so there's that.
I'm not. They don't taste well. But anyway. All right. So yeah, I would definitely try to get your time down to 10 minutes or less. I think that's how long it should take you at the most.
Number 5, should I do what? Should I do
stay
auctions?
Or should I go?
Should I stay or should I? No. Should I do auctions or should I do buy it nows, Prof?
It depends.
It all depends.
I've got a friend who sells a lot of vintage, antique-y, collectible type things. Some of those items make sense for buy it now, but a lot of them are better for auctions because they're kind of one-offs and unique, and they're not a commodity, and people will pay up for them a bit. They will pay a premium because they're one of a kind, or maybe not even one of a kind, but one of 500 left or 1,000 left, whatever the number is. Those types of items I think do better on auctions. I don't think bread and butter items that are out there in a lot of supply really do very well on auctions. I think those are much better for buy it nows. You want to move those, move on to the next one. And an auction, is tricky because you're trying to generate interest in it. If you list one of 5,000 just like it, what are the chances a lot of motivated auction buyers are going to see that item? Not that great, because there's so many of them just like it. And they're not going to pay you a premium price you would get in an auction. Auction is something, kind of unique, I think, for most people. And Adam said you can set minimum bid prices for collectibles on auctions. Of course. I mean, you can control that part as well.
Well, and again, we're not saying, in answering these questions, we're not saying our way or the highway. We're not saying that auctions are better or buy it nows are better, because there are some people that do only auctions, and I'm fascinated by that. There are some people that only do buy it nows. And then there are, a bunch of us that do something in some variation in the middle, right?
Yeah.
You just have to find what's going to work. I mean, there's pros and cons to all of it.
Yeah. And I think, if you, this goes back to your niche. If you were if you were niched down into, say, comic books, you could do auctions on some of those, the rarer ones, and maybe the more common ones you might do as a buy it now. So you could even in your niche, there could be, like, I've had certain jeans that were kind of unique that I've done an auction on, and then others, the vast majority, have been buy it now. So you can do some of both, but again, it kind of goes back to your niche. Number 6.
Is it my turn or your turn?
I think it's your turn, or I don't know. Go ahead.
I'll go. I think I just went, but I'll go again because that's what I do. Number 6. Should I, I always ask you this, right? And we get asked this a lot. Should I list for 30 days, 10 days, or what? Or should I even do it good till canceled? Oh my gosh, what do I do, Prof?
What do I do? How long should I list this for? Never has so much time been given to a subject that is not really that important. There, I said it. I mean, because the reality is, it's going to be, if you list it for 30 days or 10 days or 7 days and then relist, or you do it good till cancel, it's still staying up there. What people really ask that question for is which one will be seen more and which one will sell faster. And nobody knows the answer to that. So let's take that particular scenario off the table and just say, well, let's look at it from a business standpoint, efficiency standpoint. If you're okay with this fire and forget, and I want to touch it one time, list it one time and be done with it, do a good till cancel. Start right away if you want. If you want to be continually updating, engaging pricing and trying to move things, and maybe you're trying to do a little bit quicker flip model, then maybe you want to do it, every 7 days, 10 days, 30 days, whatever, and constantly be reevaluating your items. But remember, every time you look at that item and you do something to it, you're losing hourly rate. You are. Even if you just go in and change the price by 1 penny, your hourly rate just dropped. Your hourly rate just dropped. Now, granted, you might sell it, but every time you do more to an item, you're losing hourly rate. So you got to decide what makes sense for you there in time and efficiency. I thought you were going to say something.
No, I'm ready. It's your turn.
It's my turn. All right, number
7.
7, lucky number 7. Not in crap, so.
No. Well, it could be.
No, it's not, unless you bet against.
Right.
How do I figure out shipping on eBay?
So before you say the things, right, figure out shipping before you list your item. Like, we didn't put that on here, and maybe it's further down the list and I didn't study up. But we have a lot to say about shipping. But the very first thing you should do with shipping after you do these things, have these things in line, is that you can't think about shipping after you've already listed it, because then it's too late, because you're going to get potentially cheated out of something. Or
so if you're selling things that are a lot of different weights and sizes, get a scale. I mean, we have a link to one in our Amazon Associates links in the description of this video, but get a scale. It doesn't have to be that one. They're all pretty cheap, like $25 or so. Get a scale, because you're going to need to weigh things to figure out what they weigh. Because if you're one day you're selling something that weighs 8 ounces, the next day you're selling something that weighs 6.2 pounds, that's going to be much different shipping options potentially. Now, you can also use flat rate shipping if that's economical, makes sense in your niche. For us, we do the padded flat rates because we get a fairly cheap rate, which we incorporate into our pricing. And we know that the vast majority of, say, jeans, for instance, will fit in a padded flat rate envelope. So we know our shipping cost is going to be $6.30. We don't have to, rarely do we get a pair of jeans that will not fit in there. Occasionally we get a pair of jeans that'll be first class. We can ship even cheaper if they're really light. But get a scale, use it, figure out what the weight is beforehand. Do calculate it if you're worried. That way they're gonna figure out, eBay is gonna configure for you how much it costs, and you're not gonna be stuck with this big shipping bill at the end.
Right. And always remember to account, when you're accounting for your shipping, you have to add what the box or the envelope, the shipping container is going to weigh, any filler material that you have, because sometimes that's enough to put you over into the next step.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
Just be mindful. And we have some things in place where we can actually put it on the scale, and we've already allowed for that extra weightage, and we can add it on, or if we need to, or whatever.
Yep.
Wait.
Number 8. I'm going to make sure I got it right. That kind of like 88.
I have crooked fingers.
So Zamir,
I'll go. How much should I sell an item for? $1 million.
You're supposed to do $1 million.
$1 million. Oh,
it's like Austin Powers,
$1 million.
Dr. Evil. No, in all seriousness, this is not that complicated of a question. How much do you sell an item for? So I would look up solds and completeds on that various item, and you need to find ones that are just like yours or very comparable. All right. Here's your rule of thumb. Take the top price you see, as long as it's not something crazy. Like if the top price for most of them is $50 and one sold for $400, that doesn't really make sense. Or even $200, that doesn't make sense. Something's very strange there. But let's say that you've got, a few that sold for 50 and one that sold for 60 and maybe one for 70. And that was the top one, $70. Take 80% of that and price it there. Easy. Take 20% off and price it at that. Start it there. You may not get that, but it's a good rule of thumb. It's gonna keep you near the top of the market. It's going to tell your buyer that there's value in your item. Now, if your item has a bunch of flaws and defects and deficiencies, that's a little different. You may have to adjust down even further, unless they want flaws and defects and deficiencies sometimes. But I just think that's an easy way to, like an easy rule of thumb.
Sure. And you can always adjust, you know, there's different schools of thought on that as well. You can always adjust the price down. Some people actually even take it, not to confuse you all even more, but some people even take the price, they'll take it off and then put it on again for a higher price. Like we have people that do that and do well at it also. But you always have the ability in most of these things to adjust it.
Right.
So whatever you put out into the universe, you can always update it and change it later.
All right. Number 9.
That's you.
Should I leave negative feedback for difficult buyers? Well, you really can't do that anymore, the way they've changed the feedback. And you shouldn't do it anyway. Because here's the thing. Nobody wins in a mudslinging contest. You just both end up dirty. And even if you were 100% in the right in dealing with a difficult buyer and they were being completely unreasonable, if we had some objective way to measure that, people reading your feedback and their feedback, they aren't going to care about that. Like, they don't know the situation. All they know is what they read. If they see your comment there and that if they check your feedback when they're deciding to buy you and they're like, I'm going to see what feedback this seller has left for other people, and they see that you've left a bunch of negative comments for buyers, they may not buy from you. Doesn't matter if you were right. So my thought is just block them. You can block that buyer and move on. It's not worth it. There's no contest here. There's no scoreboard where you're trying to score points. Just move forward and don't worry about it. Chalk it up to experience, and you don't have to deal with that buyer anymore.
Ever again, right?
Ever again. So easy peasy. And I've had a couple times where I've left, a little bit different feedback. There was one time where a lady left me negative feedback, and I did respond to it because it was not justified. But eBay ended up removing it anyway, so it all went away anyway. So whatever. Number 10, we're halfway done.
Should I offer free shipping?
What do you think?
Well, it depends. Again, some people do, some people don't.
Well, because shipping's free, of course. It's not really free.
And it's amazing how many people, when they hear that or read it, even Ben, he's not in the house, so he can't hear me making fun of him. But even people that we've encountered, like seller-wise, nothing's free. So you have to account for that shipping somewhere in your price. You also have to account for the fact that if you offer free shipping, the expectation is, or you have to make an allowance for if they have to return it. You have to pay for that shipping as well, or are you going to require the buyer to pay for the shipping? I mean, free shipping can work, certainly, but you can't just, again, you're having to account for your shipping costs before you even sell the item, before you list the item.
Right.
So when you're deciding on that price, which we talked about earlier, and you're going to offer free shipping as maybe a hook or a benefit to buying your widget over someone else's, don't give away the farm. I mean, you have to, don't lose money doing it. Yeah,
absolutely. Figure it in. Like you said, flat rate is your friend because now you know what your cost is going to be. So again, that goes back to your niche. If you're selling, say, jewelry, which is for the most part going to be well under £1, you're going to do first class shipping probably. And that's pretty cheap. So, you can figure in, all right, an extra $5 for my first class rate, up to £1. And that's pretty much going to cover you. So absolutely, and free is such a powerful word. If you can use it, use it. Doesn't matter. So
well, and somebody asked earlier, we're going to get through the show and not be able to answer that question. They brought up, is calculated shipping precise, or should they expect some variation? Sam Dallas said.
No, it's precise. I mean, yes, if it's first class, it's by the ounce. If it's if you're shipping like with a priority mail, for instance, it's a weight range, like 1 to 2 pounds, 2 to 3. And you always want to round up if your item's over. If your item's 2.02 pounds, you got to round up to 3. I mean, that's just the way it goes, unless you're doing it calculated. So
really the only variation, Sam, is in you. Like if you mess up and don't account for the envelope weight or the packing, the filler weight or something like that. But really it is, if you take a look, calculated is going to be precise based on the weight. And then you have a little bit of wiggle room with like priority mail, padded flat rates.
Depends on the way depends on the way you ship it.
Flat rate versus, because there is a priority rate that is based on distance and weight as well. So
yeah, and if you can do a flat rate, that's great because it makes it so much simpler on you. You don't want to be measuring you don't want to be weighing every single item you get. I mean, it's just a pain. So
yeah, it's a time saver. Like if we know when we pull all our orders for jeans in the morning, we know that they're all gonna, it's just another batch thing that we do,
Yep.
right? So if we have 5 pair of jeans that we're shipping out this morning, we grab pretty much 5
priority,
PFREs, right? And we go up and we grab them, and the postage is going to be the same, and there's no extra effort or thought put into it. It's always the same.
So Kaaren, we got 80 people watching, so thank you for that. What do you think people should do if they're enjoying this content?
They should tell us so.
How would they do that?
Smash the like button.
There's the pirate. Even on
no, I think that was Popeye, right?
Or was that Popeye?
I'll gladly pay you Tuesday for him. No. So yes, so thumbs it up it. Subscribe, set the little alarm dingy so you can join us on a regular basis, and leave positive, productive comments below, because I guarantee it, if it is your question, it is also someone else's. And we're very particular about stressing and encouraging people to leave comments because it will help someone further down the line.
Absolutely. Number 11.
Wait, put up a 1 if it's 11. Ooh, I'll do it. No, you can do it.
Should I sell internationally?
Well, sure, Prof. If you can, if it's possible, why not?
Newsflash. Most people do not live in the United States in the world.
Really?
Turns out a majority of the world lives somewhere else. So by not selling internationally, you are cutting yourself off from that entire world market. You are taking yourself away from like 95, 96% of the world, whatever it is. So why not? Why not sell, internationally? I mean, it's not that bad. Global shipping program simplifies. If you can't figure out on your own, you end up shipping everything basically to Kentucky, where they add on a surcharge and they handle the customs for you. Or you can handle the customs yourself. It's very simple. It actually can be printed on a label now, and you fill in just a little bit of info like the country of origin and things like that, and that it doesn't have certain things in it. There's certain things you can't ship, and that's it.
Right. And I agree. You're limiting yourself, because even in my little baby store, I've sold to Japan some of my Star Wars stuff. So, I mean, there's a market for our stuff all over the world, and you're just limiting yourself. And, the whole Kentucky thing, you're not it's
not hard.
It just goes there and they ship it, and GSP, global shipping.
When I ship jeans to some other country, for instance, my cost is the same, because all I have to do is get it to Kentucky in a padded flat rate. And the buyer decides if they want to pay the extra amount to get it to them. And that's up to them to decide. Like, it's expensive to ship things overseas, no matter what it is. And it's just going to be a matter of how expensive. So I let them decide.
PFRE is a padded flat rate envelope that you can get directly from USPS.
For free.
For free.
Yep,
yes.
Free supplies. Open up a USPS account. Yep. It doesn't cost you anything.
What percentage of our sales are international?
Not a huge percent. Probably 1% or less, I would say.
Yeah. Because we count Canada as international.
Yes,
that's
absolutely.
Going overboard. Right. So we get a couple there, and then just weird places.
Yeah, it's not a huge number, but we're selling clothing, which is not really always going to be an international type item, but other items are going to be more so that way, depending on what you sell.
Yep, we do sell to a lot of military bases. Like I noticed that, a lot of our shoppers are folks in the military.
Yeah, and those will go just normal mail.
Right.
So. All right, so number 12.
All right, hold them up. And no, I do not have 12 fingers, Cooper. Haha. Number 12. Should I offer returns? Or should I just sell the things and walk the other way?
How many of you guys shop in stores, brick and mortar stores, that don't offer returns? Show of hands. Show of virtual hands. How many of you shop in stores that do offer returns? Show of hands. I mean,
it's not going to be confusing hands. It's going to be hands.
Hands and hands.
Hands and more hands.
So, yes, offer returns.
Well, are you allowed to not? Like that kind of changed recently.
You are, but sometimes PayPal will still back up the buyer if there's an issue.
Yeah.
I mean, guys, people need to return things sometimes for all kinds of reasons. And this is the 21st century. It's just how commerce works, especially e-commerce. There's returns. People screw up. They order the wrong thing. Wasn't what they thought. And they should be able to return it. Like, I know you don't want to be bothered with it again, but that's not realistic. I mean, there are certain things in certain cases, but for the most part, you got to offer returns.
I love number 13.
What's number 13?
We get asked this one all the time. Should I open an eBay store? At what point do I go from individual seller to a mega eBay store owner?
Well, the eBay store has the advantage of saving you some money on fees, on your listing fees, your insertion fees, as well as the ability to run certain promotions and markdowns and things like that. And there's calculators on eBay that'll tell you versus how much you're going to list each month, what your savings would be, because the store costs a monthly subscription fee, depending on how many items, depending on what size stores you get. And it's just a math problem for the most part. I don't think you have to really overthink that too much. If you're going to save more, having a store, you should do it. And it gives you the bonus of being able to offer additional promotions and things like that. And it seems like they've done away with quite so many of the free insertion fee offers that they were doing last year. Doesn't seem like eBay is doing as many of those these days. I could be wrong, but I don't seem to see those popping up. So a store sometimes now makes better sense. And I suspect that's kind of a model they're going to. It normalizes their revenues a little more. But just do the math on it. If you're only listing a few items a month, it doesn't make any sense. But if you're going to be listing dozens and dozens or even hundreds of items a month, it probably does. It's probably going to save you money.
Number 14.
14. What equipment do I need to sell on eBay? I made a quick list. Computer.
Scale. We already talked about scale.
A scale. Oh, I didn't even put that on there. It's great. A printer. You're going to need to print off, and it could be a thermal printer. Either way. Packing and shipping supplies. That's going to depend on what you're selling. You're going to need a camera. And we'll talk about that in a moment. A light source. Preferably one that's like a daylight source, like what are these called? Full spectrum bulbs, I think.
Yes.
Because you'll get it'll be a truer looking picture a lot of times.
Or the sunshine. So just let's call it a way to take pictures and a light source, because it's different for different people.
Right. And then general office, supplies and so on. Paper,
a chair,
pens,
a desk.
Yeah, if you got all that, you can do it at your dining room table if you needed to in the meantime until you got an office set up if you wanted.
And packing tape. Definitely packing tape.
That's an inside joke. Number 15, what should I use to take photos?
Goes along with number 14, right? You don't have to go crazy with this. Can you use your digital single lens reflex camera and go all the way with 5 megabyte picture size? Yes, of course you can. But you don't have to. If you have a smartphone, start there. Do you have to buy these big box lights for better lighting? No. People use natural lighting all the time. I know a good many people that'll go outside and use daylight. You're not going to get fuller spectrum than that.
Right.
The thing with how you take pictures and what lighting you use is more about the quality of the image than how fancy you get with your equipment.
Yeah, agreed. And your phone is probably a great just starter. Practice with it. Practice your getting the lighting right from shot to shot. And most people have that as well. DSLRs and so on, like Kaaren said, you can go that route, but it's expensive. There's a learning curve for sure. But if you already have those, then try those. But it just needs to be good, consistent photos. You don't have to be, trying to win an award. I don't even know what the photo awards are.
Yeah, and the current iPhone, the current Android, they're all taking good pictures. It's the operator belt, I think, that messes up more often than anything. So you can adjust things on your phone, on both of those phones, with the color balance, white balance, the focus even. It just takes practice.
Yep.
And like you get me started on pictures and we'll be here all day, but
we'll have to do a whole show on that.
We will. So start simple, use your phones, and use the sunshine, and then go from there. But just take good pictures.
Number 16.
5, 5, 5, 1. Okay. Number 16 says, this is a good one. How much should I pay for my inventory? When I go buy that widget, how much should it cost me, and what do I do?
As little as possible. And I know that sounds like a glib answer, but it's the real answer. Because when you first start, especially, you should start out with lower priced inventory. I would not go out and invest in $100 or $200 items, even if you can make a good return on them, unless you've got a lot of capital laying around, because you're going to make some mistakes. You're going to buy some things that weren't really that great, and maybe not get quite the price you thought. I mean, there's going to be these problems that come up. So I would start with lower priced inventory to start. Maybe set yourself a budget and say, all right, I'm going to take this $100 and use this as my initial sourcing budget. So I'm going to go out and try to buy, 20 items, 10 items, whatever the number is. And that was less risk if you go belly up, if the items don't sell, if they don't sell for what you thought, if you buy some that are damaged, all those reasons. I mean, that's just smart business. Don't go out and go crazy with your sourcing right off the bat. You're still learning the platform. And then as you progress, you'll be able to still buy cheaper and cheaper items. You'll find ways to do that. Keep your cost of goods down, because some of your goods, like I said, some will have defects and flaws you didn't catch. Some just won't sell for a long time, if ever in a reasonable amount of time. And if you keep your costs down, you won't have as much money at risk.
Yes. And again, especially when you're getting started, because if you've been doing this for a while, just go as crazy as you think you can go. Let's go crazy. All right. So number 17,
How do I write a great title for an email listing?
I love this one. And there's such great debate over this, right? I think we would all agree that it's important to spell things correctly. And I know that sounds like duh, but it happens so often. We've even found spelling mistakes with as meticulous as we are. But
sure.
Spell check is your friend. The debate comes up if extra words like cool, flashy, hippie, whatever vernacular, hip-hoppy terms that you want to use or that's fresh. But just the facts, start there, because you have to envision how someone, put yourself in the buyer's position, how are they going to search for it? So just the facts, ma'am. You want to put the brand, right?
Right.
You want to put the model, the color, the size, the fit. If like with us with jeans, gender, if it's a man's or a woman's or a child's, that's important, because a size 14 in youth is not the same size. And we just had that come up again recently, is not the same as a woman's size 14. So that's important. And try to stay away from adjectives. If you get all of those factual things out of the way and then you want to put something, superfluous, by all means, but they're not necessary, because people aren't always searching for cool pair of 7 fams or whatever. They're looking for their size, that particular style, and that fit. That
they're not going to search for it. Don't put it in the title.
Right.
I mean, and someone's not going to search for a cool pair of jeans because they're not going to search for an uncool pair of jeans. So of course they want it to be cool. They're going to assume that that's going to happen when they get it, or whatever they're assuming.
Well, and here's another thing that came up in our Facebook group a week or so ago. Somebody was using emojis in their title, because it has color, it adds something different. But here's the thing, an emoji on an iPhone is not going to be read the same as an emoji on some other phones. So it's going to be just block, 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 X or something. So it's not universal. So don't do emojis. That's not a good idea.
Number 18, what should I include in the item description?
Well, anything specific. Describe your item accurately, especially if there are any flaws or wear or use involved in the quality of the item. This is where you want to present the item as accurately as possible.
Yeah, and I would say anything that you're not describing, anything that you haven't put in your title and item specifics that they need to know could go in the description. Because you're going to put in your title and description, brand and make and fit and model and color. But maybe if it's like, there's a hole on the bottom of the, down near the cuff, things like that. Or there's some discoloration in this place, or, there's a crack, whatever it is, that's something that you would put in the description so you can tell people, and hopefully take a photo of it. That's very important when you put that in there. But
and photos aren't enough. Use your words. You cannot take for granted that just because it has a distressing on the knee of those pair of Luckies,
I see what you're doing there.
Yeah, people are going to catch it. It's not enough to include it in the photo. Use your words as well. It's important. Number what? 19?
19. Oh, we're almost home.
How do I improve my sales? They're just not good enough.
I don't know, sell better things. Okay, that's part of it, but that's not really all of it. You need to research your niche. Now, hopefully you've done that before you started buying things and selling in it. Change your prices seems to spur the algorithms a bit and change some things to where you'll sell items. Run sales and promotions if you can. If you have a store and you have the ability to do that, then do that. I mean, even if it's just a small percentage off, it still can help. And of course, list frequently if possible, because it's changing something. Every time you change something with eBay's algorithm, you're forcing it to sort of reindex and look at a listing of your listings, which is always good. And just keep learning and evolving. Like, it's a process. Best Buy and Target didn't come out of the gate making $1 billion. You know, they came out with one store and they had to learn. And you're doing the same thing. You're learning with one listing and 10 listings, 100 listings. So, you know, don't beat yourself up over that too much. It's always going to be a constant struggle to improve your sales. Last one. Sorry, I got a little allergy here. I'm trying to make it through. My voice is going, which is probably a good thing for you. How do I deal with difficult buyers?
How do you deal with difficult people in general? Yes.
It's true.
Yeah, what else are you going to do? Anything above and beyond that, letting it get to you, make you go crazy, keep you up at night? What do we say? Waste of energy, right?
Difficult buyers, scammers, people who you think took advantage of you, whatever. Kill them with kindness. Try to make it work for you and for them best you can. And then if necessary, block them.
We talked about that earlier, right? You make what's the phrase? Shame, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Right.
There's no reason why you have to endure that a second time.
Yeah, and I really believe that, guys. The older I get, the more I realize the wisdom in that, because it's so much wasted energy trying to change people and win these, you know, mythical battles and arguments with them that nobody ever wins. And the reality is you're in business to, you know, you have objectives, you have revenue objectives, sales objectives. You're not in the argument business. You're not in the changing someone from a crappy buyer into a good buyer business. That is not what you're here to do. And there's no reason to even engage in that. So you just need to kill them with kindness, block them if necessary, and move on. Move on to the next buyer, because the next one, because there's going to be so many better buyers out there than there are crappy ones.
And how many times have we gone from some, you know, potentially hazardous question, for lack of a better way to put it, and then it gets bid on or it gets bought by someone else down the line? You know, contrary to some belief, everybody's not out to get you. All the buyers on eBay are not evil and scammers.
Yeah.
Go at it with positive intent and don't waste energy on the small stuff, right?
Right. Killian Elizabeth says, any tips on getting positive feedbacks? 5 stars all the way. Put it on an invoice when you send it to them. Like, send them a sheet of paper and say, hey, if there's an item, give us a chance to fix it. And we really appreciate great feedback if you were really happy on this with this purchase. I mean, it costs you nothing, and you don't know how many people are going to see that and actually do that because of that. And some will, because they'll be like, oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, I should do that. And I would do that. I mean, ultimately, it's not really in your control, and you don't have to worry about it that much. But I hope these 20 tips were helpful.
Yeah, I was going to answer some of Elizabeth's questions.
Oh, go right ahead. I'm sorry.
But most of it is in her control. Ship it on time. Make the shipping look clean and presentable and professional. I put little stickers on the outside of mine that encourages feedback, positive feedback. I'm like, 5-star all the way, baby. You know, it can't help. Whatever you think to help tweak it. But the things that are in your control, are how you process, how you do business. And if you sit on it for 2 days and don't ship it right away, or it doesn't have enough padding and it arrives broken, or, you know, there's all these things that you can mitigate before you even put it out the door, right?
Great point. So I hope those 20 questions were helpful for you guys. Some of you may have known, some of you didn't know. And if you have other questions, we'd love to hear them from you in the chat, or actually the comments after this video post. You can leave those questions, you know, and we'll do our best to answer them with what we think, but it's certainly not, we're the end all be all authorities on everything. It's just, you know, kind of how we view it, because I think it's important with some of these questions to hear other people's viewpoints, because that sort of shapes your viewpoint, and yours are going to be unique to you, but you can take a little bit of this person's response, a little bit of this person's response, and cobble it together to make it work for you and your business.
And, you know, the chat is one of the best parts of this. And I wish that if you're seeing this later, do try to make these live shows, because in addition to some great witty banter, and you guys know who you are, the Peanut Gallery, we also, like, what I love the most about this is that people will pose a question, and sometimes we're not real good about getting it, or it goes too quick or whatever, but it's a very supportive community, a very supportive network in the chat. So people are responding to each other and giving suggestions. And always, it's not the one way, it's many ways, and you adapt it to how it'll fit. And I love that about these live chats.
There you go. So I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Black Friday here in the U.S. or wherever you're watching us from. The weekend's coming, and I'm sure you'll have some great results over the weekend. And again, leave us a question, leave us a like if you enjoyed this video. We do appreciate that, and
Yes,
consider
please do.
subscribing.
Yes.
I gotta get her. She's like squirrels over there.
I have a channel too, but
oh, that's right.
Yeah, I need to
What's
put
it
up
called?
some.
I forgot.
It's called Just Ask Kaaren. It says so right there, you big silly.
It's in the description. You guys can go there and check out her content. I'm trying to get her to put out more content. So encourage her to give her a note. Say, hey, put out another video, Kaaren.
Yeah, get off the whatever couch, Kaaren, or whatever. But I'm not on the couch. My office is in the office now. So
all right, guys, that's going to do it for now. So thanks for stopping by. We appreciate it. And again, hope you guys have an awesome weekend.
Yes, as always, you've made our day by just being here with us together. Yep. And that's just the best part about this. So
I'm Prof Sales.
And I'm Just Ask Kaaren saying good sales to you.